Hey, Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to say Barakatah, Yahweh, Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai, Ba'asham, Rakah, Kadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, the great millstones. Salutations to the sincere Akiam who push this truth with no due diligence and sincerity. There's been a lot of complications going on in the US stock market, yeah. There's been insider trading where Donald Trump has purposely put the stocks down, obviously diminishing the wealth of the average everyday American and really global citizen, because the US is the largest consumer market there is. But then on top of that as well, he's pulled back the tariffs on a lot of these other nations that he feels weren't responding directly to America's tariffs. He's put a blanket 10% on all of them, and he's increased tariffs on China, one of the largest production market, whereas America is the largest consumer market. He's put tariffs on the largest production market in China, and of 125%, meaning that the prices of things coming from China are just gonna double off the bat. And China produces a lot of stuff, yeah, a lot of stuff for the West and America in particular. China is a major manufacturing power. A lot of the time when you buy standard things that you need, essentials for your furniture for your house, you buy computing bits, you buy even certain bits of livestock. A lot of stuff comes from China. China is a massive manufacturing and production nation, whereas America mainly produces services. Now, I say all of that to say, to keeping it simple with the scriptures and the acronym of KISS, keep it simple, stupid. All of this is leading to the Revelations 13 and 16, the RFID Microchip, the corrupt man, the programmable money, the digital currency, and this man and his kind of pushing towards. That's what the end goal is. Now, they are coming out there purporting to be trying to improve the economy. Trump's talking about making America great again, when, like we said many a times, the last time America was great was during slavery, where Jake were literally in cotton fields absolutely catching hell. But he's out here talking about trying to make America great again, yeah. And ultimately he means bring prosperity to Americans and bring financial greatness back to the land. Now, he's gone in there and crashed the stock market by announcing tariffs on different nations, where he wasn't even calculating any sort of complex formula. They literally just divided. It was a formula basically with their trade surplus, the amount of money that they spend, the amount of imports that let's put it simply, the amount of imports that countries provide into America minus their imports, divided by a specific multiplier that the White House put in, yeah, also considered by the amount of imports that they put in. So in a nutshell, all they really did, put simply, was they divided the amount of exports that they put out by the imports, man, and put a multiplier on it, and then called that the reciprocal tariff. So they put a blanket 10% on a number of different nations, including the UK, where I'm based, and they went to work on countries like Vietnam, China, of course, and countries in that particular region of the world, man, major manufacturing nations, but China being the strongest out of all of them. See, Donald Trump has pissed off a lot of people, even internally within the States, man. And so he's had to back down on those tariffs. But then in doing so, he's also done insider trading, in that he's let particular individuals within his circle, some within the White House, some business owners, know exactly what's going on. So those millionaires and billionaires that are within his circle have then been able to go on with an unfair advantage and put on trades for the stocks that are being that they knew would bounce back, in a nutshell. So they've had that unfair advantage to get even richer on top of everybody else's misery. And this is all a part of the agenda. You see, basically, long story short, man, these devils, no matter what these politicians say, are going to purposely crash the system. They're purposely going to bring everything to a grinding halt, and they are purposely going to enrich themselves and each other through the manipulation of markets, like what we're witnessing right now. Because you got to understand, at the end of the day, these stocks and bonds, although they might make you cash rich, this is not the Most High Yahweh's money. The Lord did not bless Abraham and Solomon and our other forefathers with stocks in Israel. He blessed them with gold, cattle, land, people, servants, actual tangible goods. Now, you got it to where, basically, pretty much in a nutshell, with a few executive orders, this man has been able to wipe off trillions off the debt clock, not the debt clock, Salakia, off the stock market. Yeah, literally trillions, over 6 trillion, with the signature of a pen and the decision to enter into particular trade wars. But you wouldn't have been able to do that with Abraham's gold. Like if Abraham was in Egypt and the king of Egypt made a decree, the gold is still gold. Do you know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, you got a situation whereby they are purposely diminishing this currency. You see, the scripture says in Sirach 12:10 to never trust in thine enemy. In Isaiah, the 30th chapter, scripture clearly says, woe, meaning destruction unto them that go down into Egypt. Modern day Egypt is America, man, according to the scriptures, because Egypt, the nation currently, as it's geographically located in the northeast of Africa, is not doing nothing, man. They're not a major world player. The land that is spiritually known as Egypt, according to the book of Revelations, the land that's spiritually known as Sodom and Gomorrah, is modern day America, man. Modern day Assyria. It's an amalgamation of these wicked kingdoms, man. And ultimately, you got it to where a lot of our people, like it says in Isaiah, the 30th chapter, they flee on to America for help because they trust in earthly riches. They trust in man. They trust in Donald Trump or East or Edom overall, whether it be Elon Musk or one of these other left-right leaders, to be able to come and deliver them, but they don't trust in the Holy One, Yahweh Shai, and that's always been our people's problem. That's why ultimately the 2/3 on this side are going to get left behind, because they trust in this society. They trust in man more than they trust in Yahweh Shai. And as you know, as is written in the book of Jeremiah, cursed be the man that trusteth in man. Because look, the stock market right now is back up booming, not as high as previously, but it's back up in the green because Trump has announced a 90-day pause. But who knows, in the next 3 months or even before that, he might just flip again and just apply tariffs on the countries that he's given a break for a minute, and that will then put everyone in a situation whereby stocks will go down again. He might have his insider friends and then apply that whole insider trading technique on the world again, and ultimately benefit his trillionaire, billionaire friends, man. This is an elitist club that's ruled, ultimately speaking, by the elite banking families. You're talking names like the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, DuPonts, Gettys, people that stand to benefit from these types of activities in the background, man. The shadow rulers of this world, man, that are above Elon Musk and Donald Trump by far, like that are above your Keir Starmers that make monetary policy for different nations, and America is their biggest experiment, man. America's gonna be taking out a nuclear fire, bro, and they know this. So that's why they got this clown Trump proceeding over things, because ultimately his job really is to just diminish the wealth of the everyday citizen, to make you and us poorer. But the difference between us and the majority of these people in the world is that we look for a new kingdom to come wherein dwelleth righteousness. We're not worried about making it in Babylon, man. At the end of the day, our thing is we're trying to get the fuck out of here, and Yahweh Shem Yahushua Ra'az, our Lord willing, get a seat on a chariot. But the majority of people in this world are really going to consistently trust in this place, and that's why they're going to, like it says in the book of Isaiah, that their trust in the shadow of Egypt should be their shame, because this man Esau is going to take out everybody, man, in order to establish his new world order. He's even going to take out lesser Edomites. You got to understand that these devils have no sense of loyalty. Hence why it is written, cursed be the man that trusteth in man, that maketh flesh his arm, whose heart departed from Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Because at the end of the day, in these turbulent times to come, you want to talk about feeding your family, you want to talk about being able to survive the said tribulations. The only way we're going to be able to endure this is through faith in Yahweh Shem Yahushua, man. The end goal is to literally destabilize this economy and bring in that chip. That's why here in the UK, Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves are telling you they're focused on growth and want improvement for start up businesses and scale up businesses in the SME sector, small to medium enterprises overall, and corporates. But really, they're doing everything to destabilize the British pound. Over there in Europe, yeah, Germany's fucked up. They're the strongest economic power. They're struggling at the minute. But all of these other EU nations, Italy, Spain, Portugal, they've been going through it. Yeah, because these politicians are not here for your benefit. They are not here to improve your living standards. They are not here to fix the economy and make sure that the pound rebounds and the dollar is like back in it's at full strength and like we're back in the 60s. They're not trying to build more affordable housing so that rather than an average studio flat being 8 times the average average salary, circa that, things go back to the 60s and 70s where you could be a postman and buy a house to support a family. They're not trying to do that. They're not trying to set you up for prosperity. The wealth is always, in the majority of society, has been concentrated to a very small elite, and everybody else has lived dirt poor. Like, for examples of that, go to places like India, certain countries in the west coast of Africa where Jake are at, where, you know, the economic hitmen have come in and they've laced up the pockets of the leaders and they've got them fucking up their people, man. This is ultimately a ploy to take things even further, yeah, to ultimately destabilize things to the point where people are eating out the palm of the leaders' hands. You see, like in Egypt, where people sold themselves onto Pharaoh for bread. Hey, they're gonna sell themselves onto Trump. They're gonna, and ultimately, in doing so, to Trump, onto the elite international bankers, or to Keir Starmer, or to Macron, or the new chancellor in Germany, or whoever the fuck is ruling their country as the face of it, the CEO. They're gonna, and the chairman being the elites, they're gonna sell themselves into slavery onto their elites, and their lesser luminaries, for the lack of bread, for the great tribulation, for wanting to feed their families, for strife and struggle. And it's only gonna continue to get worse. Your pound, your dollar is not gonna stretch as much, man. What lasted you a month is not gonna continue to last you 2 weeks, eventually 1 week, to the point where, you know, you're paying so much for goods. Like, because currently there's a 10% blanket tariff on everything, so everything's still going up by at least 10%. Some nations more. China, if you're getting stuff from China, like if you're getting certain compute bits from that part of the region, if you are buying cars that include particular Chinese parts, if you are just buying standard shit for your house, like I bought myself a table recently for my house, and the shit came from China. Guess what? In a couple of months' time, that stock runs out and the company needs to re-up if they decide to deal with China. Like, well, I live in the UK, so it might be different for me here, but like for brothers in the States, that's gonna be 100% more expensive at the minimum. 125% realistically, if they choose to pass on the whole amount of the tariffs to the consumer. So there's, basically this place is fucked. There's no economic certainty, hence why it's important to just trust in your heart, Hashem Yahushua, with all thy heart, and let not thy heart depart, because the Lord said his servants would eat but they would be hungry, roughly paraphrasing. I know he said you will be hungry, but I'm speaking in regards to what he said to the scoffers. He said we would eat but they would be hungry, we would delight and they would mourn, basically, right? Because ultimately, man, he's about to bring the hammer down upon the face of the earth, man. Great tribulation, Revelations 12:12. The devil coming down with great wrath, because but you have but a short time. And that's not going to just be militarily, that's also going to be through the form of financial manipulation, through the form of exploitation of the people. But we just got to maintain our faith in Yahweh, Hashem Yahushua, and Yahweh, Ra'az, our Lord willing, will be alright, man. But under no circumstances take that chip, get spiritual, man. Start making sure that you're really good with the Lord and you've done everything that you need to do to stand in that evil day, because there will be an evil day, man. People are going to be out here in desperate poverty, bro. Worse than what it is right now. You think the food bank lines are long now, you just wait. You think it's bad now, even though the supermarkets are expensive and you can still go to alternative stores and get your groceries, you just wait. This stock market resurgence is not going to last forever. Trump's going to do something again and push things right back down to where they were, man. Shit is going to continue to get real, man. And it's important for you to be as ready as you can be in the spirit. I'm not telling you to go out there and invest in stocks and bonds and, like, obviously, hedge yourself a little bit. Get a little savings behind you if you can. Do what you can to survive in this thing, because it is going to be rough as fuck, I'll tell you that. But, trust in the Lord, Yahweh, Hashem Yahushua, with all thy heart, and lean not unto thy own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths, as it is written. Yeah, but the end goal is the chip. We are not to take that under any circumstances, including death. and the Lord will reward us for our sacrifice. Shalom. Wa ma sha Allah.